We all love Spider-Verse, right? What Sony is doing with their live-action Spider-Man adjacent movies is completely atrocious. But what they're doing with animation, with the Spider-Verse movies, Into and Across, and hopefully Beyond if that ever comes out, is quite good. And so recently, Sony Pictures Animation's YouTube channel put up a short film called The Spider Within, a Spider-Verse Story. Now, why they did this is actually part of a project called the Kevin Love Fund, which is basically, a pro bono way of recognizing certain artists. It's pretty cool, but the major thing is that they're not having this be a full-length feature film. The budget is very clearly much lower, right? And generally speaking, it's not something that is going to make them much money. They just put it up on YouTube, right? And what the movie is about, and I think it's actually pretty good, is Miles Morales. He just comes home and he has an anxiety attack. And there are a bunch of, crazy visuals and, using all the tropes that and visual techniques that the Spider-Verse movies have pioneered and used to basically communicate how he's experiencing the struggle. And I think that's interesting given how, we live right now. Everyone, even despite, our quality of living being way higher up, all of us are depressed, all of us are anxious, all of us are nervous, and all of us are upset, right? And deeply cynical about the world we live in. And I think that's a unique problem that, in some ways is taboo and in some ways is just seen as a thing and not something that has any merit to it or a way we should solve. I think a lot of us have just become either negligent of that issue or completely content that we're depressed or that we're experiencing anxiety or self-doubt, right? So our media naturally has to reflect that. But what interests me here, not just the fact that this is the subject matter they're going for, is that this is a franchise IP thing, right? That they're just plopping on YouTube and it's connecting to, theatrical releases. Now, I don't think there's any lore here or Easter eggs, but they did just post this on YouTube. So if you see here, this is actually pretty genius. They use the mechanism of having a false spider sense, right? A false alarm spider sense. Miles's spider sense gets activated over nothing. And in some ways, isn't that so reflective of what Spider-Man has always been? Hasn't Spider-Man always been a conduit for something that's analogous and a metaphor for that coming of age, the emotional issues that are relatable to young people, and manifesting that through, comic book storytelling? And I think that's a great show don't tell way of communicating that. And honestly, in resolution, he just goes out with his dad and has a walk. I think in and of itself, the film was done quite well. But do we want to see more of this kind of thing? Would you guys want to see more Spider-Verse, more MCU or DC or any, of these big franchises having these smaller bits of media sort of to flesh out the universe, flesh out the characters? Because I think that's what Marvel was trying to do with special presentations a couple years back. Do you all remember that? Special presentations? And it's the kind of thing that they used to do, especially with those one-shots, these little short films that they put together with characters from the MCU. Is this something we want to see more of, or is it a waste of time that is not going to bring, A, any financial benefit, and B, we have 5 minutes, are we really going to tell much of a story here? Is this something worth our while? Is this something worth investing in? Hey, the next movie is still not out yet. Why are we putting out a short film? Or alternatively, I think this is nice to have something to hold us over until we have Beyond the Spider-Verse. Regardless, just talking about the movie in and of itself, it has all the trademarks that made Spider-Verse captivating on a much smaller scale. It has that lighting. It has those comic book-like animations. those visual stylings. It had all the things that we love about Spider Verse, and at its core, it was just a brief character study. That's something I think is good to have. It's something nice. So, what did you think of Spider Within a Spider Verse story? Was it worth your while, or is it just a dud that you don't consider being of any value? Like to know. What do you guys think?